Yeah. So we just finished the Oracle trial for Mystery of Artifacts. I know we got a lot of new players in the game, and this is mostly targeted at them at the moment. So I had this mission for Odyssey. It's number 72. It's to complete Artifact Forge 100 times, so I was basically getting the 4,000 mats needed. I figured I'd talk over artifacts a little bit while we're crafting. Gone through. After this, I do get my legendary hero Soulstone, which is huge. So it's definitely something everyone wants to strive for. That's a huge value in this game. Uh, it is definitely a little bit more difficult. Like the Oracle Trials, like definitely like sucked all my energy dry, all my diamonds. Like you see, only have 500 left. So yeah, let's go in. Let's craft some artifacts, and we'll talk them through about what I'm looking for, why I'm getting rid of what, and really what you should be focusing on. So start off, we got Mythic Forge. Yo, we got 10 poles. Okay, this is a great one already. So as far as the Legos go on these, I really don't focus any of these. I never have. The only one that's really worth a damn is White Tower Trinket. Uh, Early game, it's insane. The 12% attack bonus, and then also if there are no adjacent allies, gains an extra attack speed of 20. Um, this just the attack keeps going up on this one, so definitely a lot of value on that piece there. As far as the mythics, what we got, title ring, I've maybe used on like one champ over time, but not something I usually do. So increased damage by 10%. Dealing damage has a 25% chance of slowing the target by 50% for 2 seconds. Generally, you just don't need the CC. So not something I usually focus. Sharpshooter is definitely great. Um, GR3, like if you're running one of the range marksmen like Maul, Razik, Nyx, or Kai, this is usually their best in slot. Um, it can be very useful for the Pelagios Codex as well. So it's definitely one to focus on. I wouldn't put up like a super high priority of like putting in multiple copies right away, but just throwing the base copy level is quite a bit of stats. You'll get like the 1,000 attack bonus and some HP, so definitely good at a base. And then finally, we got Reaper's Emblem. Now, this has become one of my favorite artifacts as of late. Another one that's great for the Pelagios Codex. It's great in Arena. It's great pretty much anywhere. Like I use this over Idril's Gaze a lot of times now for like just Idril just to get the stats. It's just a direct increase rather than like a chance at ignoring defense, so it's just a little bit more consistent. Um, there's still more benefit like to having a Idril's Gaze like in Arena and stuff. You just want to ignore the defense if you can, but I still think the Reaper's Emblem is a great choice. Like all the top teams are going to be usually running Idril, but you will see Reaper's Emblem quite a bit in Arena, in Gear Dungeons, and like pretty much any content. You could really use this on your marksman. And then as far as all these other ones, I don't really benefit or recommend building any of these out. Uh, I use this one for a little bit. Like it's a pretty much just a significant downgrade to Sharpshooter. I use that on my range marksmans for a little bit. Trash. This one's okay. It's not great. A lot of these, like you'll just get benefits out of a single copy more than anything. Okay, so Idril's Gaze, instant keep. I would recommend building 2 or 3 of these to max. They're just great artifacts to have sitting around. Like I said, their value in arena is very high. Generally, the most times you look at the end game people's arena builds, they're running Idril's Gaze just for that defense chance. But yeah, I would definitely recommend building up 2 or 3 of those. Same copy of that. Unfortunate Skull, I've never been a big fan of. It's okay to throw on some mages like that you have sitting around, like faction trials champs or whatever. It's fine throwing those on there, but like on GR1, I hate running this. Um, Especially if you're having a hard time with those little units that just like do passive damage over time. Like they have the little aura around them and they deal damage to you. You could literally just die by having this unfortunate skull on. So not a huge fan in GR1. Um, I think generally just here is just the better option, or white tower trinket, that legendary. But yeah, not a huge fan of that one. Like I said, throw it on your faction trials champs or whatever. That's about it. As for other ones, the only one here, as far as legendary that I'd ever like even consider building, would be Broken Nightmare. It could be very good early game. Late game, I don't ever really see this used much, but early to mid game, you could probably get a little bit of use out. I wouldn't like go full max builds on it, but that's just me. Keen Wisdom was one that originally, like, I think I had 5 or 6 of these built. I was the biggest stan on this one. Mob Bucket back in the day did a breakdown with this artifact. If you're a new player and haven't seen it, check out Mob Bucket's channel. He is no longer a CC, but he has some of the best information that we've had in the game, and a lot of it's still relevant. But yeah, this is a great early game artifact if you're looking to get out some damage and you don't have a bunch of the other ones built up. It's the only epic one I would even consider building up. But yeah, definitely one that you could build up for early to mid game. Okay, so we went over White Tower. Watchguard, just one I never really build up. Like I said, if you have a copy and you want a little bit more stats, it's fine, but definitely not one I would invest highly into. Could be decent, not great. As far as the epics go, the only one like this one I've seen people talk about, it's okay. It's another one I really wouldn't consider building up, but like if you're early game, you just need some more survivability. This is like a decent option. As far as this, Warroths, I wouldn't really build. Oneric, there is some merit to this one. When the ultimate is triggered, increase attack by 8% and attack speed by 40. I think this goes up to like 12% max, and then the attack speed goes up a little bit, so it's a decent one. Definitely not the best. If you have like an attack-based healer, it could be good. The attack percent and the speed is always good to have on the healer, so it's an okay one. You could probably benefit from having a few of these. Maybe build it up to like level 3 or something, but I wouldn't go all the way. But yeah, a decent artifact at that. Talked about Broken Nightmare. Blood Bond. Blood Bond is definitely useful. One of my buddies, Educated Potato, was telling me that he got more damage out of his Hex having Blood Bond over Spirit Siphon and Guild Boss. I haven't tested it out myself personally, but I definitely trust his judgment on that. And then we also have it's just a good overall artifact. Get some damage out of. It's not like my highest priority one as far as marksmen go, but it's definitely a solid artifact. There is some content where the crit damage will just be more beneficial. Um, I actually like this one on Sargak a lot just because it lowers his HP. It gets him into that threshold quicker. So it's definitely a solid artifact. You get good stats out of it being a mythic. So it's one that you could consider using early mid game for marksman. Shit, even late game, it's still good. But like I said, it's not the highest priority. I would definitely keep the copies to get a full max one eventually. And yeah, there's these next ones. Let's pop some more. Okay, so these ones are just mostly trash. Eonian definitely don't invest in. Watchguard's Wisdom don't invest in. We already talked about North Judgments. I would keep about like 3 copies of these, not maxed or anything, just to keep them around. They're good slot ends for like your Decimus or stuff or GR2. It could help you just end up RNGing that boss, like if you get some cost back. It's definitely good to throw on like some champs that you're just end up gonna like be putting down and pulling, like the Decimus. Other than that, they're not really useful for much. We went over Slayer, we went over Pen, we went over Broken. Tome of Horror, another artifact I don't generally use too much. Um, I actually throw this one on my Mari for GVG, just for the attack speed more than anything, and the Rage Regen is decent as well. But other than that, it's not like the most useful. I really don't like the CC ones, especially on the mages. Generally, you just want to attack on the mages, but this one works really well for Mari because generally you're just trying to get her as attacking as fast as possible, and getting some Rage Regen out of her works as well. So it's a solid one. Definitely one I wouldn't take up to max right away, but I think my Mari one's like even only like level 2 or something, and she's on my GVG team, so yeah, decent artifact for sure, but definitely not high priority. Ooh, we got some good ones here. Well, a good one. We got so we had Euphoric Orb there. That's probably my favorite healing artifact for sure. It's between that and Golden Scarab for sure. Probably my most used one. I pretty much always have this on my Hollow or Elowen, like if I'm doing like any gear raids or like Void Rift or anything. It's usually on one of the healers for the team. We also had Regal in there. I actually hate that artifact. I think it's dumb. I pretty much really never use it. I think I keep one copy around, but generally for the most part, if I'm running a tank, it's going to be Bastion Ring. Occasionally, like I'll run like Goddess, Bloodlust, or Tuning on like my Gone, my defense defense DPS units. I guess you could call them. They're not going to do a lot of DPS, but generally you'll get more out of these three out of that. But yeah, like for the most part, if I'm running a tank, I've got on Bastion Ring. Occasionally Olog will get the North's Will, but that I really don't do that much anymore. I don't run Olog too much anymore either. But if you're running content where Olog doesn't have to have like a ton of units blocked, North's Will is just the best one. Keeps them up, keeps them healthy. But yeah, like I said, Bastion Ring, it's usually Bastion Ring or bust really for tanks. Unless they're like some DPS units and you want to get some AoE out of this or some increased defense here. This is actually huge amounts of increased gains for a lot, or defense gains for a lot of champs. We'll try not to skip those again. I don't know how exactly that happened, but ooh, okay. So these are some great ones. Lunacy, probably one of my most used ones as well. I make a lot of pseudo tanks, especially for faction trials, and this is usually what keeps them alive. We can go in after and look at all my fighters that have like some tank gear on. But yeah, like my Syrenes, my Gluttonies, my I even have Absin as a pseudo tank. They're all running Lunacy, and it's just to keep them healthy. Lunacy is also an incredible artifact for Codex. If you're running the Cerberus or the Aatrox, it works extremely well there. Keeps them alive, keeps them going. Yeah, it's you get the extra block here, you get some life gain. It's just overall a great fighting artifact if you're, like I said, running like a pseudo tanker or whatnot. As far as that, we went over Rex's Vow. Not very good. Spellcaster is another legendary one I actually really enjoy. Recovers 10% rage after using skill. Like I know this one, a lot of people for a long time were running this on Twin Fiends. Really don't see it as often anymore, but as far as legendary mage ones go, it's probably one of the best ones, especially if you're trying to cycle back to ults. It's between this one or Nightmare and Samsara. Samsara you'll usually get more out of just because you could just build them with some attack speed and they'll get cycling a lot quicker. But like this, if they're not affected by attack speed or anything, this is usually their artifact to go to if you're looking to get that rage regen going. Regal we talked about. Golden Scarab, 10 out of 10 artifact. It's my main Dolores artifact now. So if you have Dolores, get Scarab on her. You'll get the Rage Regen. It only stays at 5% attack, but you get it usually like once you get the max level, like it pretty much evens out with Keen Wisdom, and you're getting the Rage Regen. So incredible artifact for her. Incredible for any attack based healers as well. If you get the Rage Regen going, you get some attack as well. Yeah, like I said, 10 out of 10 artifact. Other than that, nothing much there. All right. No, we talked about North Horn, horrible, don't level it. Slayer, we talked about. Crest is just a shitty version of Eye of Sin. Not worth leveling, not worth investing into. Shadow Gaze is one I used for a while. It's a decent artifact. It could definitely be okay early game. I actually used this on my Hatsit for a long time. It's one of Hatsit's best in slot. But eventually I just replaced it with E-drills once I got a max E-drill. So it's a decent one early game. Other than that, wouldn't really touch it. Rage Chain, no. On to the next. Bad. We talked about. Tumultuous Horn. Great artifact. Great for like guild boss. Also great for GR2. Like if you're running a Dolores and you need to get her going right away, This could pretty much get Dolores going right away. I use this a ton when I'm doing takeovers for GR2 for the first clear. It just helps out a lot getting like that Dolores going right away. So definitely worth investing into at least one of these to max. A lot of times you'll see like people that are running Leia or something in Guild Boss, or I've even seen it on Hollow from time to time if they're like just cycling out Hollow. This could work as well. Other than that, we went over Blood Bond, we went over Shadow Gaze. This was the other one I was talking about that's comparable to Spellcasters, is Nightmare Samsara. Restores 5% rage for every 5 attacks. So if you got somebody that mage that you need to rage regen quick and you got some attack speed, this is the go-to. I actually use this on my Twin Fiend for Guild Boss still. It just gets him cycling a lot easier. And yeah, it's a great artifact for sure. Definitely worth maxing one of these. And on to the next page. Oh, and we get like a... Oh, there's something I needed. Astral Obelisk. So this is the equivalent to Golden Scarab for the tanks. Attack increased by 5% after receiving healing. Increase rage regen by 25% for 5 seconds. This one can be great if you need a tank that's cycling. So generally, you will see this artifact pretty much always on constants. It's her best in slot. And like I said, if you have some tanks that are just like you're looking to get cycling with their ults, this is usually like one of the best in slots for them. Exactly what Scarab's doing. As far as the other ones, no, 1 copy, 2 copies at most. Spellcasters you could level. Tumultuous we went over. Pen's okay, wouldn't super invest into it. Watchguard's Fortune, it's meh. Yeah, I wouldn't definitely invest in copies. If you have a few sitting around for a healer early game, that's fine, but other than that, definitely not worth. And trash. Okay, this is the last one. There's our 100 forges. And all trash at the end. Nightmare Shadow, no. North Will, like I said, Olog is a great in slot. But if you have content where you need him to block multiple units, Bastion Ring's just going to be better. But this will keep Olog up. I actually ran this on Olog for AMR for a long time as my main tank. Keeps him very healthy in AMR. Soulbane, it's meh. I wouldn't ever really recommend using that. There's no tank times that you really need a tank going that fast. And you don't really need that much attack on tanks because they're not going to do damage. I'd rather just keep tanks to be a tank. Player's Malice, meh. Any ones that we missed? Scarlet Hunt's getting a ton of value right now. Definitely max out at least one. There was a time where I thought we were going to see multiple Scarlet Hunts built for the new guild boss, like especially if you're running a bleeder. These could be just like generally the best in slots. Like if you're running like a Wrath, maybe you're running the Nightmare comp and you have like a Vlad or you have a Komodo on the team, you will get a ton of value out of Scarlet Hunts there. Spirit Siphon, probably the #1 marksman. Definitely best for guild boss or any big single target damage dealers. Best for like a lot of the codex fights as well. Brightfoot, not a huge fan of. Just not something I use a lot. You don't get a lot of value out of it in codex or anything. Yeah, I've never been too high on that one. Heaven's Rage is very similar to Unfortunate. It's like it's a decent artifact, but it's not great. It could be good to throw on your faction trials. Like I have a lot of these just thrown on faction trial units more than anything. Early game, this could be decent. You're getting the crit damage increase off crit hit, so if you have max crit, you could get some value out of that early game, especially getting the 700 attack stats of the mythic. Bastion Ring we went over. Taya's Bomb, I'd probably max one of these and call it quits. I had a lot of these just thrown around on healers for a long time as well. Other than that, not a huge value. Wailing Skull, I would consider the big 3. Like usually it's Spirit Siphon, Wailing Skull, and Tear Twilight are like the big 3 artifacts. Could be followed up by like Euphoric and Golden now, but yeah, this is without a doubt one of the best fighter artifacts in the game. Definitely want to start working on getting at least one of them maxed. It's like the Zilla 2 go-to for Guild Boss. It's anytime you're doing single target damage, it's just usually one of the best options there is. A lot of times you'll see it in Arena as well on a lot of champs. Tier Twilight, best mage artifact, hands down. Probably best artifact in the game still. Just massive attack increase. I think goes up to 30%. Yeah, definitely start working on one of these. I would keep probably 3 copies, like 3 single copies of it, and then start investing into one. Just so you have them to spread around on your mages. Like if you're using multiple mages, it's just better to have this sitting around. And then like once you get the 3 copies, then you could really start investing into them. Eye of Sin, definitely a great option for a lot of fighters. Any AoE fighters. I run this on Wrath a lot. I run it on Valkyria a lot. Just a great artifact overall. It could be ran on like the Cerberus or Aatrox if you don't want them to stay alive too long. It could just be helpful for their damage right away. So yeah, definitely another great artifact. Frigid Flame, one of the best options for fighters as well. Definitely worth investing into a few of these. Yeah. Bloodlust we talked about a little bit. It's just a tank artifact that increases damage. A lot of times you'll see this in Codex, usually on like the fighter or like you'll sometimes see it on Reeves or Toradors. Anytime you're just trying to squeeze a little bit of damage out of tanks is usually one of the options that they'll use. Goddess we talked about, Euphoric we went over, Lunacy, Realm. Realm is probably like one of the other, it could be considered one of the best artifacts as well. Generally you're always running this on like any range fighters that are getting the most out of the range. Like Ardea, Arrogance. Yeah, those are the big 2 I think of when I think of this artifact mostly. But yeah, incredible artifact if they're attacking multiple tiles away. Definitely worth investing into 2 or 3 of these max. I think I'm working on my 3rd one right now. And the last 2 are both the new ones. The key, I think, is going to be an incredible artifact. I haven't got one to max yet, but I definitely will. I'm working on trying. I was hoping to get a few copies today. I use this on Rourke in my GVG team. He works out very well in this artifact. I do think we will be seeing this quite a bit. It is just a nice big HP increase if you're trying to build some pseudo tanks as well. Yeah, great artifact. And then Talisman. I think this can be good, but it's going to be niche use. So if you're using like Northerners with some fighters that you're getting the shields from, or you're using like a Vortex or something in the team where they're getting shielded, this could be great. Valk, this could probably be extremely good on Valk as well, even though she eats the shields. But if you have a way to replace it, definitely a good cost. I think it will be. We could end up seeing this in the arena, like the meta Northerner teams with Ardea or Dasomi, wherever they're getting all those shields out. I think we'll eventually start seeing this one as well. Other than that, let's go through legendaries real quick. I'll just mention some of the ones I think are worth. Taunting Gaze, it can be worth early game. I use this on Silas for a long time. It's just like one of the best ones if you don't have Spirit Siphon built. If you're getting that max damage, it's just like, well, like I said, one of the best artifacts, especially for Guild Boss. Other than that, we went over those. Edrill's definitely 2 copies. White Tower, I'd probably build out a few copies. Samsara, at least 1. Northwill for Olag, like I said. Watchguards, we didn't touch on this one. Watchguards is an incredible artifact as well. Definitely worth building up a few of these. I still use these to this day. It's just sometimes the RNG factor of getting double hits is just better than most of the fighter artifacts. It's easy to slot into. Like if you're just running a fighter on the team, you don't really have like room for crystal, or you don't have a crystal, or they're not multiple range spots. A lot of times, Watchguard is just like one of the best to build up to throw on to somebody. Other than that, that's about it for legendary artifacts. We went over Horn. Horn's great. 1 copy. Prayer's not good. It's just the shitty version of Scarlet Hunt. Pretty much all these are just like bad versions. Well, these 4 are just bad versions of Mythics. Oneric can be okay, like I said. But yeah, that's all for this one. I just wanted to get a video. I've done a few artifact videos here and there, but it's kind of an updated list. Talked about some Codex uses as well. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. Thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.